Welcome to the SwitchClicksPodcast, episode 64, recorded on December 21st, 2021. Tyler has finally watched Arcane, and it's time we talk about this modern masterpiece. My name is Dakota, and today I'm joined by Tyler.
It's me.
So last week we kind of went over our favorite shows and movies we watched, mainly just shows, and I wanted to focus on Arcane a bit more, so does the community wanted us to. And finally, Tyler, you watched it in a day or so, right?
Yeah, I started it an evening, watched one or two episodes, and then finished it all the next day.
Nice. I finished it in maybe 3 days. I did the chunk.
I had this week off of work, so I was able to do a bunch of stuff. So that was one of them.
Yeah. So I am really excited to talk about this. I am so glad I have somebody else to talk about this with, other than League of Legends bad.
Still a strong point.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get started off with, are you in the majority that gives it a 100%? It was on 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. It's on a critic 100%, but average audience score is at a 97. It's been dropping about a percentage a week, but that's fine.
I think with a show like this, with Rotten Tomatoes, it's 100% because the critics have given it a positive review. It doesn't mean every critic thinks it's 10 out of 10. I don't think it's 10 out of 10. It's definitely like a really high 8 or a solid 9 out of 10.
Once I finished the show, as I got to that last episode, I was on the edge of my seat, and I probably called it about a 9, a solid 9, or like a 9.4. And then I started kind of looking into cinematography, and I watched some video essays on it, and it is so smart with some of its themes, and very subtle about some others. So I'm going to call it probably a high 9. It's definitely one of my favorite shows of the year, if not my favorite show of the year.
I think my only thing holding it back from a 10 out of 10 is there's just a select number of shows I kind of get like a sinking feeling almost. You get the sinking feeling of anyone can die, and it like puts you on the edge of your seat. I really love that feeling. And this show, so close to like the perfect point that only a couple of shows have really got me to, then it just didn't quite reach there for me. I felt like this, I don't know, the stakes just aren't high enough, but I don't know.
I could totally see that. I guess I only know a little bit about League of Legends, but I know most of the characters in the show are legends in the game, which I would assume would survive after the show.
That kind of happened to me. I was halfway through the show, and then I was like, I wonder which one of these guys are League of Legends champions. So I went on the wiki and looked through it. It's like, oh, I recognize these guys. And slowly I made my way through the show and went, no, they're not going to die, are they? Oh, I suddenly had a list of characters that I know are going to survive till the end.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That kind of I feel if I didn't do that, it might be a 10 out of 10. Really just suddenly went, oh, no one on this list is going to die. And then I don't remember his name. Echo, I thought he died, and I was like, oh, that breaks the curse. Anyone can die. Then he didn't.
Yeah, and I believe he's a popular character in League. He's one of the main legends, so of course he wouldn't die.
Yeah.
But what about that theory that they did some research on? And it's like, oh, a person would enjoy a book more if they knew the ending first. It's like, does that not apply to you, or?
I don't know. It wasn't really like the story. It was just like a sudden, oh, okay, I just know it's going to survive now.
Yeah.
So whenever there's a scene between 3 legends, champions, I know that none of them are going to die. But that's a very small problem. The only thing keeping it from a 10 out of 10 for me, other than that, it's fantastic. So I don't want to rag on it too much, make it seem like I hate it.
Yeah. I think that's one of its pros, honestly, that you know that they're not going to die, because I think maybe too many TV shows kind of hold on to the death and life of the character, the black and white part of it. But with these characters, it's like after the third act, or after the first act, Vi, she is separated from Powder, which would now become Jinx. And then Jinx is a total gray area between good and evil, in between, what was his name? Silco, and her other counterpart, Powder, which was on the Vander side. Yeah, As you can tell, I get really into the show if I want to talk about it more.
I think my favorite character in the show, probably Silco, just because I'm, like, such a sucker for anything subverting my expectations, and when the first act ended, I was like, "Oh, okay, so he's gonna adopt her, but it's gonna be like, I'm gonna use you, almost, like, a tool to me."
Yeah,
But then you're like, "Oh, wait, this guy actually cares about," it's like an actual father figure who is still not a good guy, but it's like a father figure, and you're like, "Huh, okay, that's
yeah,
what I was expecting," and that really threw me off guard, and something I really liked about it.
yeah. It definitely subverted expectations with Silco. Like he's a total gray area in the world of crap. What was the place's
Gray
name?
area. I think
Yeah,
it's pretty easy to say, yeah, he's definitely more bad than he is good.
yeah. What's the opposite of an anti-hero?
Anti-villain, I guess.
I guess. Like he's not totally a villain. He's not the worst guy. He's again like crap. What was the place's name? Piltover. That's what it's called.
Uh,
And the underground is on what he's doing. Like his
yeah.
entire motivation is just for his people. So in his perspective, he is a good guy. And then on the other side, like with Heimerdinger and Jace and crap, Victor, that's his name.
Don't
Like they're
meet your
also
heroes. The guys
they're
aren't
also heroes on the
100%
end.
good either.
Exactly. Like I think at the end of the show, not many people like Jace.
It's
Like it
Jace, I
was
don't remember. Which one's Jace?
is a good looking dude. He did all the smart stuff with Hex Tech.
Okay, yeah. Nerd.
Um
I see how it is.
he's a
Like
good looking nerd.
the buff nerd,
Exactly.
not the dying nerd.
And I was like thinking like what is my favorite character in the show? It's hard to say. I do have like a kind of a few of them. I really like Victor and like his entire storyline of he came from the underground, he made his way up to the Piltover area.
And he
And
took super disintegrating drugs.
yeah. And even though the that female character, I forget her name, that like disintegrated,
Yeah.
like we didn't get much storyline behind her. It was still kind of an impactful scene.
This movie, not movie. This show does just a really good job. Anytime you get like too into it, like you're like too into just kind of like a rhythm, it like cuts you off almost. I think probably like one of my favorite scenes in the show is when they get into like big hex tech where they're just destroying underground spacesuit guys, and you're
Oh
like starting to
yes.
get into it. It's like, oh yeah, normal action scene. Then it ends with them like actually just murdering a kid, which
Hmm.
kind of just really hits you with, oh yeah, war, fighting isn't the cool thing.
Yeah.
It like makes you feel bad for vibing.
Yeah, even they always put League of Legends is generally pretty good at putting like pop music or rock music in the background of these, and you get
Yeah.
totally get in the vibe. And then they cut it off by killing somebody and showing that I guess not everybody is invincible. And then later
I
on
would
in the next scene, they reveal that it's one of the I don't know the council members of Zahn's son.
Yeah, it's a shame. I would love to talk about how it reminds me about something like it reminds me of something else I watched this weekend, but I can't talk about it because people are going to want to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, especially in front of me. I haven't been able to see it yet.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but I saw Spider-Man: No Way Home, and it has a very fairly similar scene that can't relate it to now because
So, how did you think about? I guess we can stay on topic. But how did you think about the music, like the opening and what they use throughout?
it's, it's like a I feel Imagine Dragons to me is kind of like junk food pop music, where I almost kind of feel bad for really liking it, just in the sense that a lot of Imagine Dragon songs are kind of just the same thing, but it's like a good thing. They're just like they never break the formula, but the formula itself isn't bad. It's kind of like being a massive shill for like Pokemon, but for music.
Yeah, like earlier, probably like middle school, I really liked Imagine Dragons when they had the song "Believer," and then I definitely
Mm.
died off of them. But I've been listening to Enemy so much. It is I don't know. I don't know what about it. I don't
yeah.
listen to it. My Spotify is gonna be screwed, but it's so good. Like specifically, I really like the technical aspects about it. Like in the background, they have like a almost like a frog. This is gonna be some ASMR, but some like a. Hopefully that
Yeah, I
translated
have
well.
not listened to the song, I guess, enough to really know what you're talking about.
Well, you'll hear it at the beginning once you listen to it again. And then also, they don't have this in the opening of the show, but JID, like the rapper and the actual full song,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
his entire bar or like his entire section is so fire and smooth and like he can. I don't want to say fire because that's not really my speak, but it's good. It's really, really good.
I've only listened to the full song once, so
Oh wow,
yeah.
you got to catch
Other than
up to
that, it's
that.
just been intro to the show, which
Yeah.
I think I only skipped it, like, twice, so I've listened to it a good amount.
I'm
Yeah,
really
it's
surprised that they kept the intro like in every single episode. I thought it was going to be a variation on each of them, but they kind of went the anime direction where they put in an opening, but also the
yeah,
Netflix direction where they put an opening, but it's like 10 minutes, 10 seconds long.
yeah, yeah, or, like, not even 10 seconds, it's, like, 2 seconds sometimes.
Yeah.
Another thing that probably it's probably just because it left off, the way it ended really resonated with me with, "Oh, no, it was all about to be good, and now it's not gonna be good." Well, it's like
Yeah.
the feeling of, "Oh, no, don't do that. You're just extending it." The only other shows that have made me want to, like, talk to my screen and be like, "Nah, just don't do it. It's all gonna work out if you don't do it."
Yeah. In that entire like final episode was incredibly powerful in terms
Mm.
of like Vi and Powder slash Shinx like actually talking to each other because the entire series they were like, "Oh crap, you're alive! Blah blah blah. Let me chase you down. Oh wait, you got separated from me." And then they finally got to sit down and like talk to each other somewhat.
How good
Um,
of a year is this for Haley Steinfeld?
Holy crap, it's nuts! I didn't
She's
realize
having
she
a
was
good
Vi
year.
until like I looked it up afterwards.
I knew she was Vi just because I saw people on, like, Twitter saying, "Good of a year is it for Haley Steinfeld? She's in Hawkeye, she's in Arcane, and she's in the Spider-Verse trailer."
Yeah, she's like what? She's like the modern day. What's the girl from Harry Potter?
Uh, Emily no? Is it Emily?
Emma?
No, it's
No,
Emma
Emma
Watson.
Watson.
Emma
Ah,
Watson.
yeah, because Emma Watson was in a bunch of stuff for like
I
two
don't think
years or
Emma
3 years.
Watson I wouldn't call it I think Haley Steinfeld is significantly more range than Emma Watson, if I'm being completely honest.
Well, yeah, definitely. Haley Steinfeld just kind of has like the strong female.
It's like Mark Hamill almost, except it's pretty much just like Mark Hamill. They can do voice acting good, but they can also do acting good. Except
Yeah,
I don't really think Haley Steinfeld does voices or anything. She does character work, but it isn't like Mark Hamill Joker isn't really the same as Luke Skywalker, but her character from Hawkeye and Vi could be like a kind of close like it's only like a slight variation. Anyway, I you talked about before how I don't remember his name. Jace is talked about how Jace how no one really likes him, but I don't know. I think Jace is also just a strong contender for being you don't know if you want to cheer for him or not because it's like I should be cheering for the underdog, right? Himself up by his bootstraps and made it all the way to the top, but then at the same time, at the top, so he's like kind of like villainous almost.
yeah, he's definitely more ambiguous because like Heimerdinger, he was like one of my favorite characters, and he kind of I guess did it to himself where he got kicked off the council or
Hmm.
whatever.
And
Um,
speaking of Heimerdinger, it's like once again, like I think he does stray more towards like he's a good person. Ace wasn't 100% wrong. He seemed just to be very fearful. Well, instead of like he didn't really want progress because he's fearing what it could do. Whereas
yeah,
it, for the most part, once Jace gets his stuff together, everything's going well, and it was proven wrong. Like he was right about actually just making weapons. I don't know. It's every actor is just like you're right. You're correct in this situation. It's all. I think the closest probably Echo because really anything bad to what he's doing. He's just being Robin Hood, and that's kind of difficult to cheer against.
yeah. And I really like the scene where Heimerdinger and Echo kind of look at what Echo's built and whatever,
Yeah.
and Heimerdinger finds this like extra world that they built. Specifically back on the Jason Heimerdinger thing, Jace kept making the point where like Heimerdinger lives for hundreds and hundreds of years, which could be a blink of an eye for a human. And the amount of progress that Heimerdinger could make in his lifetime is exponentially larger than a human's life. So maybe the fact that Jace has put so much effort and probably so much progress into Piltover for such short amount of time might have scared Heimerdinger because there's not much control he can
Yeah,
do.
that makes sense. That makes sense. And well, oh, brought up Echo before. What is the deal with Echo? Because during the one fight scene with Jinx, he seemed to be like manipulating time, or is it like he can see the future?
I think that might have just been
Visual effect?
aesthetic.
I don't really
Yeah,
know.
I think that was just
Like
like the trying to make the connection
it
between.
almost looked like a Shulk vision. It looked like he like run through. It looked like he ran through the fight and then noticed where he got like conked on the head, then avoided that.
Yeah, to me, after the fact, I was like, how I see it is like Echo and Jinx slash Powder had a really good relationship. They always practiced fighting with each other because Vi was always a fighter, so Powder wanted to get better, and then like they did the same moves over and over again. And then I don't remember how many years pass, probably like 10 years or so, I think. But like 10 years pass, you've never seen this person, so they probably have the same style. So he was just imagining them when they were little, and then he was right about all the things that they practiced. Like they kept the same fighting style. So it was more emotionally and aesthetically.
And also, I think this show wanted to stray away a little more. Even if in the game, he's like kind of as I'm checking right now, you might just want to kind of maybe stray a little bit further away, keep the show a little more grounded than it already is.
And I looked into some like connections to League of Legends, and it was like, okay, Jace has a big hammer, and then Jinx is literally crazy. And they've kind of landed already to where the characters are, how they feel in the game. So I'm really hoping they expand the world of Arcane or League of Legends, and they continue like maybe making a League of Legends cinematic universe or something.
Yeah, something to that effect. That would be cool.
Yeah, I watched a few video essays, and they're like, "Oh, because League of Legends is such a kind of a mix of different genres of worlds. Like there are literally castles and like orcs and like such a mix mash of stuff. They could totally make different shows about anything. But the fact that Arcane took 6 years, this might take a while."
I don't know. I'm just excited to see where this goes, but it feels like they've almost you kind of touched on it. They've almost kind of sped run to where the characters are at in the game. That makes it a little worrying that the characters aren't going to develop much in later seasons. I don't know. I don't know how much they want to stray from League of Legends or whatever. The League of Legends is like a Valhalla where they've
Pretty
all
much.
died and now they're vibing and beating each other up.
Yeah, like some examples of that is like in the game. Like I've never played the game. I've only seen little scenes or little voice examples. But like if Vi and Jinx are battling each other, they'll do little voice lines, and one of the examples are like Jinx is like, "You traitor, you left me," or whatever, and that's exactly referencing
That's pretty much where we're
Friends of
at.
Arcane.
So
Yeah, and then like in the other version of League of Legends, there's like another slightly TFT, I think it's called. Caitlyn, and if Caitlyn and Jinx are fighting each other, and Caitlyn will be like, "I will never leave my partner," which is obviously referencing Vi. So I don't know if they can go in and change that, and they definitely have different voice actors. It's a little odd to me that they've gotten to this point and they're going to make a season 2 out of it.
unless it's almost like a anthology type thing, which doesn't really make sense with how it ended. But maybe they kind of switch it up and you see different characters kind of take the stage and like we can see if like the second season starts with like after Jinx blew up government, everything kind of went downhill, and then we bring in a different character like the main main guy, and you kind of get a different idea, a different part of the world, and
Yeah. Like, to me, I think the world of Piltover kinda looked like an island. I couldn't really tell.
mm,
I didn't really see any of the outer landscape.
season 2 starts with it's like moving over to the other island, and it's like, man, it really sucks that some girl just blew up government on that neighboring island.
Yeah, we don't
Anyway,
even see it. That would suck, that'd be so stupid.
but I think they probably work decent effect. See like different like effects on different parts of the world, but they don't. This is like a very personal story. It's weird because I don't know how much they want to stray away from League of Legends.
Oh, they wanna keep it in there, dude. There's so much money in League, they're gonna keep it
Well,
in the world.
yeah, like keep it in the world, obviously. Like it's still going to be the Legends show. But I feel could probably go past where they're at in League of Legends to a degree, but I don't know. I don't know what League of Legends is in canon. If it's like an Overwatch situation where it's like two teams are fighting for I don't know the greater good, or like a
Yeah.
Smite situation. In Smite, I think it's just Valhalla, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure about the context either. Like, is there an actual League of Legends, or is this like an anthology things where like legends from different parts of the world that are not even connected at all just fight each other? I have no
Hmm.
idea.
It is weird to think if it's like it is a league of legendary people. It's kind of strange that they kind of just grab like next to I don't know probably a dragon. You have like some
This little fox bear thing.
some girl, some guard girl that just has a gun. Like there's nothing special
Yeah.
about her. Why is she in the game? I don't
Maybe
know.
as our last thing, I wanted to ask you about because you're an animation person or animation buff. You're going to
Yeah,
school for it and stuff like that. How,
wanting to.
do you
Yeah.
like it? Like, what do you like the
Yes,
animation?
it's a lot of people compare it. Even I initially compared it to like Spider Verse, but I think they were almost being developed at like the same time, just so happened to go in a similar direction. So another of I think the best form of animation probably 3D with 2D effects. It just makes everything so good. I personally still prefer 2D animation, I think, over 3D with 2D effects, but you can probably get the most out of 3D with 2D effects. Just so cool to see all these different shows and movies experiment with it in different ways. Initially, I wasn't huge fan of kind of the paintbrush 3D model kind of aspect they were going with. It really did grow on me as the show continued, and all the Jinx mind stuff, all
Oh
very
yeah,
very good. The fight
those are
scenes are so
crazy.
kinetic. I think things like I haven't went to school yet for animation. I'm not like animation god. I know everything. But watching this show, I pretty much have 0 problems with it.
Yeah,
Oh, and even recently, like, think how for how long animations existed, most big budget things won't have any problems, but you can point out a couple in, like, big movies and stuff, they don't get it right, but this just, like, nailed it consistently through the whole show.
yeah. Like I think one of my favorite fight scenes that I think you were about to mention were at the I think almost at the second last episode where Vi and I don't have the character's name here, but the lady like the second hand to Silco and she has like a robotic arm or whatever.
Oh,
That
yeah.
animation was crazy. Like every single
It was
hit, they
brutal.
do like the impact of the black and white kind of cracking.
The
At one
impact
point,
frames.
at one point she like hit Vi hit the lady in like the chest area, and like her, you could see her bones crack for a few frames, and that was
Oh, it's yeah.
crazy. And then they also mix it all with the sound.
I think just everything around this show was so polished, and I only have minor problems with it that keep it from like show ever. But it's so close. I can see how a lot of people absolutely adore this.
Yeah. Maybe one last thing that I thought was a little bit weaker was the character of Mel, and she was like the lover to Jace. I wasn't really sold on that relationship, unfortunately, but I think that might have been the point because Mel is a little bit manipulative.
Yeah, I think that's almost the point where it's supposed to. it's supposed to kind of feel manipulative. Jace is kind of like unga bung. I I'm focused on my own work, and also I don't think it's supposed to be a beautiful blossoming romance as much as it's supposed to be. It's like you're manipulating them.
And maybe because of your theory of like the characters being legends, I don't believe she's a character in the game. So
I don't think she is.
She was in.
She
was in the fire
She's probably
of the rocket. Like at the very end frame, she had like whatever her golden tattoos were like shining off the window of the rocket coming into the window. So she's probably dead. She's probably dead. Thank you for joining us and discussing the modern masterpiece that is Arcane. We'd love it if you could follow us on Twitter and listen to future episodes on Spotify and iTunes. Join our community Discord server to continue today's discussion, and we'll see you next time on the SwitchClicks podcast.